If you guys don't understand this, remember, I really suggest that you watch the video from the last lesson. Us to sketch the quadratic equation. So when we're sketching a quadratic, what are the three things that we need to know to sketch it? Yep, so we need the Y-intercept, the X-intercept, and the turning point. So after we found those three things, we just put them on the Cartesian plane, yeah, and join them up with a smiley face or a frowny face. Okay, so how do we find the Y-intercept? When it equals what? X equals 0. So we just sub that in. Sub in. So 0 minus 8. Alright, what about, that's the Y-intercept, where it intercepts the Y-axis. Now we're using the X-intercept. X-intercept is when what equals 0? Factorize. Yep. So what's the two numbers that multiply to get negative 8 and add to get positive 2? Positive 4 and minus 2. Okay? So when we expand it back out, we should get the same answer. A good way to check. Yep. So the the x of the turning point is equal to x1 plus x2 divided by 2. So negative 4 plus 2 divided by 2. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Divided by 2 is negative 1. Okay? So we've got the x of the turning point. What do we do with that? Put it back into the equation to find the y. So wherever we see an x, we put a negative 1. The final turning point is negative 1, negative 9. Okay? We've got negative 1, negative 9. So then we draw the sketch. Woo. Don't forget to label the axes. It's good to label the points as well. Helpful for you guys as we move on to the next. So let's go back to the basics. Do you remember seeing these a long time ago? Yep. So what's the first one expanded, someone? There's a number, so that A could be X and B could be, I don't know, 3. Okay, it's just saying when you have a number plus a number, it expands to this, and a number minus a number expands to this, or other way around, it factorizes to that. Okay? So it's really clear, it's really key that you understand this first thing. Because when we complete the square, you have to go from there to there. Let's go to this question here. I'm guessing it wants us to find the v value. Yep. So when we complete the square, we ignore this n bit initially, okay? So let's just take the first two. So we've got v squared plus 6v. We want to turn it into one of those things I just showed you. So something plus something or something minus something. Okay? To do this, we need to add something on the end. Alright? And we always add this number here, which I call the B number. Do you guys know why I call it the B number? 4? So it's the number in front of x. You always take that number in front of just the non-power thing and you divide it by 2. and you square it. Okay?
The whole thing?
The whole thing. So you divide that b number by 2 and square it. Okay, now we go back to this. If we're going to add this, we also have to minus it. And we can't forget this number at the end. And this all equals 0. Oh no, let's do the plus 1, yeah? The reason we divide it by 2 is because the middle thing was 2ab plus b squared. So we've got a factor of 2, which we're dividing to get that end number. Does that kind of make sense? It's kind of the reasoning. Okay, so now let's just look at this first. Whoops, too far. This bit here, we're going to turn it into brackets. So the v just becomes, the v squared just becomes a v, because we're factorizing. And this number inside the square is what's left. So 6 divided by 2. And that's squared. 3 squared. If you want to, you can just skip this and go straight to that. Bring the 68 to the other side because we want to get v by itself. We then do the square root of both sides. Now when we do the square root, what do we need to put in front of the square root?
2.
No.
1.
Good try. You've never seen this before? You need to put a plus and minus. Why? Because if we squared both sides, it could be a plus or a minus. I'll show you. If you square this, it's 4. Or if you square this, it's also 4. Does that make sense? So we don't know if it's a minus or a plus. So v equals, I'm going to bring this negative 3 out the front here, plus 2 square root 17, and v equals negative 3 minus 2 square root 17. For finding the turning point. Okay, I'll show you. So we want to add this b value at the end, but we want to divide it by 2 and square it. Yep. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. Okay, so now, does this sort of form look familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you remember the turning point form? Yeah? So completing the square gives you the turning point. So we've got 1, negative 9 from completing the square. So y equals negative 8. So we bring this over here, 9, like that. So, for some of you might not understand. There we go. So x equals 4 and x equals negative 2. Okay, and there's my bad.
So in the scroll, I'll put
I'm guessing there's some calls.
Okay, so there we go.